Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about a very important chart that explains something very specific about wealth and money and gains, because so many people want to know, will I have wealth? Will my chart produce wealth? And one of the charts that really explains some very interesting key points about the second house and the 11th house is Oprah Winfrey's chart. Because when we look at houses that deal specifically with wealth and money, we want to look at the house of the second house, because it's the house of the money we earn. It's money. It's how much money we gain. It also deals specifically with our sense of self, how much confidence we have, because the second house will deal with our early upbringing. And did we develop a sense of security or a sense of confidence to the point where we feel confident enough to go out in the world and to be who we are and develop ourselves and be wealthy. And the 11th house is the house of great gains. Consider this too. The 11th house is the second house from the 10th. 10th house meaning your career, the work you do. So the second house is always about money, how we make our money. So if it's a second from the 10th, it's the money we make through our work. So therefore the 11th house is the house of money through work, but it's also considered the house of great gains. So when we look for money in a chart, if you find a connection between houses 2 and 11, you're going to most likely see great sums of money that come together for an individual. So I thought I might put up the chart of Oprah Winfrey to prove my point, because Oprah Winfrey's life is pretty spectacular, especially in the event that when she came into this world, she didn't have a silver spoon in her mouth. She did not have the advantages, the luck, or did she even have, anything that made her stand out to make her as one of the wealthiest women in the world today. And she has a gift. She helps people. She talks. It's through her voice, really, that through talk shows that she made her money. But she didn't have a chance in the world when you consider all the people that are born into wealth. She had to make it on her own, and nothing held her back. Not that she was a woman or not her race. Nothing held this dynamic woman back from her vast achievements. Now, is this in her chart? I'd have to say yes. So let's bring Oprah Winfrey's chart up and we will see this connection that she has, or does she have, the connections between the second house of money and the 11th house of great gains. So putting up Oprah Winfrey's chart up here, let's start with that Oprah Winfrey. I have her born January 29th, 1954 at 4:15 a.m. in Mississippi. So looking at this, her ascendant is in Sagittarius. So her ascendant sign is 3 degrees of Sagittarius's rising. But when you go to her second house, which remember, this is the house that also deals with our voice and our ability to make money and a lot of the conditions that we grew up with as children, that conditions and flavors us. And the other aspect of the second house deals with our confidence, because you can't be successful unless you have a certain degree of confidence. So going to her second house, she has 4 planets. Now we look at, in Vedic astrology, we look at Rahu as a planet. We know it's the north node of the moon, but wherever Rahu is, it expands things big time. So she has Rahu, Venus, Sun, and Mercury, all in the sign of Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is a sign that is generally thought to be very ambitious. Now, if you consider her her tropical Western chart, she would have Aquarius, as most of these planets would be in Aquarius. They fall back into Capricorn. Now, Capricorn to me makes more sense because she is a businesswoman. She is a businesswoman. Maybe she has those bright ideas of the Aquarian, but I definitely think Capricorn fits this chart for the second house, and those planets being in the second house of her speech. Now, let me remind you another thing. The second house deals with the mouth. So it deals with our speech, what comes out of our mouth, but it also rules what goes into our mouth. And it is a known fact that Oprah has struggled with her weight her whole life. So it's what she eats. She's can't diet. She has an eating disorder. She can't stop eating. She loves food. That's Rahu actually being in the second house. So Rahu, Venus, Sun, and Mercury are all in the second house of money. And here's another interesting thing about her chart. If you will notice, her Venus and her Sun are exactly the same degree conjunct. This is another whole subject of study. It's called Cassimi. Cassimi is, normally when we look at these planets being too close to the sun, they're called combust. They're combust the sun. The sun will weaken them because the sun burns things, and that's what combustion actually means. But her Sun and Venus are Cassimi. And whenever I see this in a chart, it doesn't help relationships because Venus is the planet that deals with our relationships, right? So Venus, in terms of relationships, it's usually destroyed even when it's Cassimi. But when it deals with wealth, because remember I said Venus deals with wealth. Well, maybe I didn't say this in this video, but I've said it many times. I say Venus rules opulent wealth, whereas Jupiter is wealth. Venus is like going to be magnified. Venus is the planet of billionaires. Jupiter is the planet of millionaires. But so this Venus, plus it's in her second house, really rules her ability to expand and make money. But let's go to the 11th house where she has her Saturn. Now this Saturn, it may not seem off the top of your head thinking of Saturn that that's a good placement. But notice that Saturn rules the second house. Saturn rules Capricorn. So Saturn rules the second house. And guess where it goes? The 11th. So it connects the second house to the 11th house. And there's where Saturn sits in its exaltation sign. Remember in Vedic astrology, when planets are exalted, they are powerful, off the charts. They are in a condition that they will reach their highest goals. So Saturn is in Libra, which is its sign of exaltation. Now, when you look at Libra, and the whole 11th house is ruled by Libra, and Saturn's in Libra in the 11th house, Libra's ruled by Venus. So guess what? When you look at Saturn being in Libra, ruled by Venus, but Venus being in Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, we have what we call a parivartana, which is when the planets are in each other's signs of rulership. So they're in a mutual exchange of signs. This connects these planets explicitly, makes them unite and become one. And it's also like they're in their opposing signs. So it empowers them all the more. So it's much like Venus is in Libra and Saturn's in Capricorn, but they unite and become one and make these two houses that they unite and become one all powerful. So I wanted you to see an example of the greatest union I've seen in a long time between the second and the 11th house, and a woman that has become mega successful and wealthy. Not only just, looking at the second house, remember it deals with the voice. Well, she made her money through her talk shows. She's on television, she speaks, she talks. And if you want to get very specific. Neptune is with Saturn, and Neptune actually deals with cameras, film, video, photography. She has a magazine, she has all these television networks, and her talk show is what really brought her into everyone's awareness in the world. Mega wealthy, mega famous. This is the power of these planets in the 2nd and the 11th, and that mutual exchange and the power of these planets. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Or if you would like to learn Vedic astrology with me, you can go to my university, which is universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.